Hey friends, Todd Chipman here, Dean of Graduate Studies, Associate Professor of Biblical Studies at Midwestern Baptist Theological Seminary. I'm joined by Professor Robert Smith. Dr. Smith is the Distinguished Professor of Divinity at Beeson Divinity School. He taught preaching at Southern Seminary and then at Beeson Divinity School. 25 years plus of pastoral ministry, and he is on campus at MBTS for a preaching workshop. And Dr. Smith, as we have known each other a bit and I've heard you speak in different situations and heard of God's work in your life, the theme of suffering has come up, and I want to help pastors and preachers just think about that a little bit and how God uses suffering in our lives to help us as pastors and preachers. Could you share with us some snapshots or bullet points how God uses suffering to help us as pastors, as preachers, to help our congregation, those we lead?
Thank you, Doctor. God has asked me during my suffering, do you really believe what you've been preaching? And you've written about it, you've talked about it, you've counseled people about it. And I said, yes. And so therefore God challenged me to embody and to live out what I said I believe. Because Jesus says to us in John 16:33, in this world you shall have, not you might, but you shall have tribulation. But be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world. In the loss of my first wife, after 15 and a half years of marriage, and 2 sons, God has told me what's important is not just getting out of trouble, but what you get out of trouble. What lessons have you learned? Have you learned how to trust me more and to allow yourself to be drawn more to me? So therefore, I've come to the knowledge of this, that suffering in terms of loss is not about coming to closure, because closure is a term for bank accounts, closure. But when it comes to what the Lord takes us through, it has to do with love accounts. How much you love, and when you love, you hurt, and God nurses your pain, and He helps you to walk through the valley of the shadow of death, so that He is with you, and His rod and His staff, they comfort you. So it's really what you get out of trouble rather than just getting out of trouble, and you come out by His grace being better rather than bitter.
Thank you so much, Dr. Smith. Hearing those words and knowing you're suffering and others, this is a common theme, that God, it's what we get out of trouble. We grow through that.
Yes.
And we see His grace is sufficient.
Yes.
And people see that in our lives. Yes. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thanks for asking.
Yes. For more interviews, go to biblicalstudiestoday.com. For more information on preaching classes for biblical studies, go to mbts.edu. See you again next time.